Hello and welcome. Ever since I rebuilt my friend's 1984 Colnago last year, I have really wanted a vintage Italian bike of my own. Given the very high costs of vintage Italian bikes, I chose to go the DIY route. So, I bought a vintage Bianchi bike frame and fork for $195. Based upon the frame configuration, photos, and some vintage catalogs online, I'm pretty sure that it's a Sprint. Now, there is conflicting evidence about its age, either 1977 or 1980. Since this is going to be ridden, not a museum piece, I'm really not losing much sleep over a difference of 3 years. One thing that is immediately noticeable is the lack of frame decals. Yeah, anybody can slap a head tube badge on any old frame after all. So I was a little skeptical about the bike's authenticity, but the seller on eBay sent me a close-up of the engraved Bianchi name on the tops of the seat stays. I have a set of age-appropriate repop decals on order, and I'm going to completely disassemble the bike and repaint it in stock white. So I guess that is a Bianchi in a manner of speaking. Anyway, wheels and tires are vintage 700C Mavic MA40 wheels with Suntour hubs and some Continental tires that I had on hand. These are 1985 vintage wheels, rebuilt by the guy that I bought them from, including new spokes. And let me tell you, they spin as smooth as silk, and I'm really fond of them. This is, I think, the 4th bike I've had them on. The cockpit consists of a new Originate alloy stem, 44 centimeter wide alloy drop bars from State Bicycle Company, and vintage Diacomp brake levers. Now, these levers have an odd sort of side/bottom cable exit, which sort of made for an odd-looking tape transition, but is what it is. Speaking of which, the bar tape is also from State Bicycle Company. It's their house brand in Celeste Blue, a nod to Bianchi's famous color set. The brakes are early 1980s Diacomp GXs in single pivot format, and I really like the small wings under the brake shoes, which makes holding them in place for cable adjustments a lot easier. Shifters are new Suntour down tube mounted units. They are switchable between indexed and friction, and I have them set for friction shifting. The crankset is a 1980 Campagnolo Veloce 3x with 170mm cranks and 52, 42, 30 tooth Campi chainrings. The original cup and comb bearings axle was outer threaded, but the Veloce is set up for inner threads, and I really wanted to use the Veloce, particularly that 22 tooth ring for climbing. So I upgraded to a sunlight sealed bottom bracket. I got a set of 1984 look clipless pedals, the first year for them, and they look pretty darn good after cleaning and a touch-up paint. And look how well they spin. I didn't touch the bearings at all. The derailleurs are 1984 Shimano 600s, which I picked up for $54 on eBay. I think the front unit may be for a 2-ring crankset, since I can't quite get it to go onto the big ring. That's not a problem for the moment, but I will need to address that later, probably with another front derailleur. At any rate, the vintage Shimano 600 derailleurs may not have been found on Bianchis of the era, but they are age appropriate and true to the spirit of a vintage steel road bike. And let's face it, Campagnolo mech is wicked expensive. The saddle is a reproduction Cell Italia Turbo that I already had on a stock alloy seat post with the Italian flag colors painted into the grooves. The turbo saddle may not be exactly age appropriate, but I'll tell you what, I think it looks great on the bike. The bike needs a bit of fine tuning before I take it for a ride, and when I do, I'll be sure to bring you along. All in all, I am pretty darn pleased with this build. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I named the bike Sophia, after Sophia Loren, another Italian beauty. If you want to see more of this bike, there is a playlist linked lower left. And there's a link to another video lower right that I think you will enjoy. And as always, thanks for watching. I am sincerely grateful. Goodbye and have a great day.